Hi, this is Alfred Brock with the Wayne Focus, and today we're going to be learning about the new face of addiction. The new face of addiction. Now, we're going to be talking about the new face of addiction that faces everybody of every race, every creed, every socioeconomic background. No matter how much money you make or how little money you make, there's a new face of addiction, and we're going to take a look at it. The materials that we're looking at today are brought to us by FAN, Families Against Narcotics. There are several chapters throughout the state of Michigan, and you can find them online. Just look for Families Against Narcotics. We also have chapters in New York and one in North Carolina. So look up Families Against Narcotics and see all the support that you can get for yourself or any loved one that is experiencing trouble with drugs and drug addiction. Now, if you don't know anyone directly, I'm sure you know someone through your family and friends, and this is a good way to get the inside information on what is really going on. And I would expect we see some more of this in the news, but we're not seeing it right now, and that's why I'm here talking to you. So here is some news about this. Now, addiction can begin in a home medicine cabinet. If you didn't know that already, there it is. Addiction can begin in a home medicine cabinet. Chances are your family or a family member will be prescribed a narcotic pain reliever at some time. Vicodin, Oxycontin, Percocet, Lortab, etc. There's a whole bunch of them. Sometime in your life, sometime. In fact, enough prescription painkillers were prescribed way back in 2010, that's 12 years ago, to medicate every American adult around the clock for a month. Talk about an impact on the job productivity, right? Think about what it does to people's lives. Yet many don't understand or underestimate the addictive nature of these medications, especially when they're abused. In fact, we lose a person every 8 minutes at that time to prescription overdose in the United States. Addicts are no longer just the guy standing on the street corner, as if, we know that. Rather, they're elderly mothers or fathers, housewives, and the kid that lives next door. How prescription drugs have become the drug of choice among young people aged 12 to 13, and 1 in 5, this is way back in 2010, 1 in 5 high school students reported misusing prescription drugs in 2010 on a national survey. It's much worse now, and that's very, very bad. Most who use these substances believe they're safer than illicit drugs because they're prescribed by healthcare professionals. Therefore, the association with the doctors and the medical establishment seems to make them safer, when in fact these are synthetic materials that replace the heroin and other morphine and other naturally derived opioids. It's cheaper to make these things on a large scale, and they're doing it. Now, prescription painkillers, they're opiates. We just covered that for a moment, just like heroin, and are every bit as addictive and deadly if abused or used for a long period of time. There's a very short period of time that your body will become used to it. A very short period of time that your body will notice it if you remove it, and an extremely short period of time before the body becomes addicted. When the prescription drugs become too expensive, many do turn to heroin because unbelievably, the naturally derived opioids have now become cheaper than the medically prescribed opioids, the official opioids, and there's a lot of counterfeiting going on. We're seeing a lot of fentanyl hitting every different kind of drug that's been termed recreational drugs. There's no recreational drugs, and they're being poisoned with fentanyl right now. Now, heroin is a cheaper and more powerful alternative, and the people who can supply illegally gotten manufactured opioids have access to the heroin and the morphine and opioid and hashish and all the rest that comes along with it. Each year, in fact, last year, like 106,000 Americans died. They call it accidental opioid overdose, but there's a long series of steps that has to go through. People think about this in the beginning to create this material that eventually kills these children with a poisonous effect. Families Against Narcotics now offers opportunities to learn about substance abuse and face addiction in an enlightened rather than an embarrassed way, right? So they're good kids from good families, athletes, high achievers. They get stuck in this. They're going to be embarrassed. Their family's going to be embarrassed if this comes to light. Everybody's got to put that all aside because that's always been the same in the past, and we need to be able to talk about it so that we can solve the problem. Know a problem, solve a problem. Okay? The power of Families Against Narcotics, is an unconventional approach, using real people and real life experiences to educate, remove the stigma of addiction, and provide support for people who find themselves in the unimaginable situations brought about by drug abuse and addiction. And they are really horrible situations. Now, warning signs of abuse are missing money and valuables around the house or at some business, missing spoons, which are used to heat heroin, so that's a little bit that's got some history associated with it. Arrests for theft and other criminal behavior, finding needles, orange needle caps, burnt bottle caps, small plastic bags, foil, all sorts of strange little trivia and paraphernalia can be a warning sign of abuse. Constantly asking for money and that need to have other people do things for them, to carry them here, drive them there, pick them up at odd times, etc. Now, many Family Against Narcotics members have a loved one in active addiction. Others are in recovery, and sadly, many grieve a loved one's death. Whatever the situation, fan members share the same goal: to educate others through their own personal experiences. Trust your instincts. Trust your instincts. I'm saying that. Trust your instincts. This is a very serious issue. Nobody knows your child like you. If your gut tells you something is wrong, don't ignore it. Time to pursue it. Encounters with police do not constitute normal teenage behavior. That just does not constitute normal teenage behavior. A minor in possession, MIP, or driving under the influence, DUI, charge, or using just a little marijuana, petty theft, shoplifting, school truancy, can be indications of potential drug use. There's certainly indications of problems, and it's best to jump on those things early, don't you think? I do. Get it out of the way as soon as possible. Now, possible symptoms of opioid abuse. We're talking specifically about opioid abuse. There is also methamphetamine abuse, alcohol abuse, and lots of other abuse, but we're focusing right now on opioid abuse. And we have information, they have information about all these other drugs, and so do I. Just look through the YouTube videos. Behavioral changes include a loss of interest in activities that they once enjoyed, including sports, school, friends, family. Physical changes: no longer cares about appearance, constricted pupils, drowsy or nodding out even in mid-sentence, a sense of disorientation, they're disoriented in the home, irresponsibility at work or school over a long, repetitive, right? Lying, manipulating, stealing, wearing long shirts and pants even during warm weather, along with increased sleeping. The long sleeve shirts and long pants can be hiding the scars and places where people inject drugs into themselves. Slurred speech, needle track marks on arms or legs, weight loss and or loss of appetite, constant runny nose, dark, hollow, or sunken eyes. Now that's quite a list there, and I'm going to show it to you. And you can get all this information right off the Families Against Narcotics website and many other locations. That was possible symptoms of opioid abuse. Next section, I discovered abuse. Now what? Let's find out. Well, if you suspect a loved one is in trouble, seek help immediately. Not only for them, but for yourself, because this is a very sophisticated problem. And trying to go it alone is very annoying, can take a long amount of time. It takes time anyway, and you want to be as prepared as possible. There are many people standing ready to help you. Please reach out, take care of yourself first, and then begin this movement. So you need to seek help immediately for yourself, and then seek out help in your area for the problem that you're viewing. As you go along, you'll find more clues about exactly what the problem is, so you can zero in on it. But seek help immediately. Reach out immediately. There's many support options for those seeking long-term recovery. Unfortunately, there's no magic cure, but every person needs to make the personal decision as to what works best for them, and there are many choices that people have to take. And reminding them of that, providing them with love and support, are very important tools in dealing with this issue, with the use of drugs. Most in recovery agree, however, that doing it alone was not an option. There was somebody there helping them out. The more the merrier. If you're considering an inpatient treatment facility, here, this is very important. Here are a few questions to ask, because they're going to ask you how much you want to pay and all that stuff. You want to make sure that you're getting the best available care from the best facility that's going to give you the best possible outcome for what's going on here. Okay, so an investigation into the location where you're going is very important. First of all, if you need help doing that, reach out again. You got Families Against Narcotics, you have professionals in your neighborhood, counselors and also social workers can help you at reasonably and sometimes free rate. Now, here are some questions to ask in treatment facilities. Do you take insurance? Can you afford it if they didn't take it? What, cost is very important. We don't want to sink the boat while we're trying to save everybody, which is not to say you're going to let somebody die because you can't afford it, but there's a ways to finance this. So we want to take it step by step through this process, just like you're buying a car or something to buy or anything else. Now, is the location a mix of knowledgeable people, the people that are running it? Are there recovering addicts associated with the place? Does this place drug test regularly, and do they use a reasonable drug test? What happens if the person fails, right? Do they just kick them out? Some of them kick them out, and all that work that was done and distrust boils up. So there's questions to ask. Now, does the facility involve family and educate them on enabling behaviors? Education, as I mentioned, is very important. Reach out, educate yourself, get help for yourself so you can tackle this problem. It's a very sophisticated problem. Many people are involved on the side of bringing the drugs to this person, getting the drugs to this person, and ensuring they continually take it and provide them with money. So get the team going on your side. Now, are strict rules at the place enforced, like waking up early, making beds, doing chores, jumping back into that? Not jumping back in because it takes a while to work into it, but a structure for them. Is there one there? Does the program enforce responsibility, or is it lax? Is it just essentially a place where a person could go to sleep and then there's problems involved with that? Are there mandatory daily meetings? Are there group meetings? Are 12-step meetings part of the treatment or not? And what is the alternative? What is going on that people are involved so that they can get the treatment that they need? Because it's an ongoing situation, and it affects the mental health, it affects physical health, and we want to make sure all this is going on. And I'm not adding dollar signs here right now. What we're talking about will actually reduce the bottom line to achieve the goal of helping the person become healthy and well again. Because they're being poisoned. Now, does the staff plan an exit program upon completion? What do they do when the person gets out? What does the staff got in mind? Are they going to give them a cake and sing a song like at one of the restaurants? Or are they going to, is there a plan there? Maintain contact, or make sure they're checked into treatment and in touch with the family. Keep in mind that more expensive, and I think I brought this up a few times, but I'm going to read it right out of the pamphlet, and here it says, more expensive is not necessarily better. Not necessarily. Okay? Support for family and friends. Now, FAN provides that. Families Against Narcotics provides that in a big way, and that's very important because that support goes right back to the individuals that are suffering and helping them get healthy. Many of us have experienced seeing a family member or friend go from the love of our life to a person we no longer recognize. One who lies, steals, manipulates. We all want to believe that we can fix them, and we do our best to protect and keep them safe. More often than not, however, we become enablers, feeding their addiction. Some people, sometimes this happens. Trying to avoid doing that, so learning about it, getting the information that you need from others, and reflecting on it, and putting it into practice will help you go a long way. Because we don't want to be enablers. We don't want to make it easy for them to continually avoid the point, which is to get away from the drugs. Parents, families, and friends of the addicts should seek help and support through organizations as Al-Anon. Okay, Al-Anon helps families and friends of people that are dealing with alcohol. Nar-Anon, which helps people that are family and friends of folks that are dealing with narcotics. Okay, you can meet with other people just like yourself in your similar situation. Learn from them. They can learn from you. It's a community, and it's important. Community is very important. Isolation plays a big part in the enablement and the ability of the corporate structure that provides the drugs and poisons these folks. That organization plays a big part of that. So we need an organization for you, and there are many available for you and for your family and for the person suffering. Not going to be alone in this. You are not alone in this. Families Anonymous also helps. Families Anonymous being different from Families Against Narcotics. Okay, so the three that we have for you right off the bat: Al-Anon, Nar-Anon, Families Anonymous. Look them up. You got it. They're going to be near you somewhere, and if they're not, they're going to be on Zoom or they're going to be on a telephone, and you're going to be able to speak to them. Social worker can also help you if you're in a serially remote location and don't know who to contact. And you can also contact Families Against Narcotics, and they'll do everything in their power to get you in contact with one of these organizations or another near you. These programs are essential to help you get healthy. You and them to get healthy, again, regardless of where your loved one is in their addiction, and they're essential to help the addict stay in recovery. With a strong you can help them, and you can also maintain your own personal living life equilibrium while you help them. You know, like when you're in an airplane and it says when the mask comes down, cover your mask first and then help someone else. That's what we're talking about right here. Help yourself, get yourself good while you're providing assistance to others, okay? Every fan chapter, every Family Against Narcotics fan chapter has monthly meetings where families and friends of those in recovery and members of the community can come together and learn about addiction and share their experiences. You can visit www.familiesagainstnarcotics, one big word there, familiesagainstnarcotics.org for local meeting information. So there, is that going to be clear for you right over there? familiesagainstnarcotics.org, www. Check it out now. Okay, let's see in the back. What do we got in the back? And we have your prerequisite photographs of, you know, drugs in the cabinet. There they are. Those nasty drugs. If you got old drugs in your cabinet, time to get rid of them. So here's fan locations. Lots of them in Michigan. As I said, there's North Carolina. New York's not on this pamphlet. Gotta update it. So programs. An integral part of FAN's mission is to remove the stigma associated with addiction through education. See a problem, solve a problem. Know a problem, etc. It goes on from there. Over the past few years, FAN presented real people sharing real stories to hundreds of groups throughout Michigan. There's many other opportunities that FAN can provide you with, information and groups and support materials. Everybody's there to help you. You're not alone. Have a great evening, and thank you again. Bye-bye.